open up the floor right now to questions. We'll open up front row, middle, Dave.
So there's a lot of things you want to work on during the off week. What are some things that are kind of at the top of your list with your team?
Well, we're kind of in a self-evaluation phase right now on both sides of the ball, schematically, things like that. But then also, individually and as units, we're really taking a hard look to see, what are some things we've done well in these first 6 weeks, and what are some things that we need to improve on. And so the big focus is on self-improvement this week. Each coach is giving tangible things for each of the players to work on. It may be something that is on the field. It might be something off the field. It might be something academically, something along those lines. But the idea is, what have we done well and what do we need to improve on? And so we're focusing on that this week.
It seems like from some of your comments throughout the year, you guys are really into advanced analytics. Is that accurate? Do you guys really study the advanced analytics of the game and what you're doing?
Yeah, it's a part of it. You can get too jammed up with that because, most good football teams will show you one thing one week and then do something the next week. That's what I always laugh about. Well, what did they do last week? And then you look at the analytics and you say, we can be sure they're not going to do that this week. So, you don't know. But it's all part of it, and there's certain things for sure that you can find not only about your opponent but also about yourself.
Right next door, Nathan.
Just curious, this is one of the things that you're doing for the first time now as a head coach going through an off week. Was there any kind of template that you used for that? Anything that you thought worked in the past? Other coaches you had worked under that is how you set this?
This week's a little different because we come back and we're playing on a Friday night. So it's a little bit different. We're going to come back and practice on Sunday, which is something typically you wouldn't do coming off of a bye week, but we will. So it's a little bit different, and we put it together based on what we thought was best for the team.
What is kind of the balance between wanting to give guys a rest, get them a mental break probably as much as a physical break, but also you're 6-0, you're kind of rolling, you probably want to try to keep an edge. Does that happen during the bye week, or does that resume next week?
Well, there's guys that was a physical game that we played on Saturday night, so guys need to get healthy again. We're a little battered, but that's what happens, 6 week in, and after you play a game like we did against Michigan State. But it's all kind of, how you craft it during the week, and the way we're doing it is we're trying to get those guys healthy the best we can and be smart about it. But again, really focusing on enhancing the things that guys are doing well and improving on the things they need to improve on.
You mentioned beginning of the season that as far as defensive game planning, you'd have very little role in that you kind of wanted to empower those guys. Looking back at the first 6 games, has that gone according to that kind of plan?
It has, yeah. Typically after a game, we'll get in there, watch it with the offense. I'll go in there with the defense. We'll go through each position and talk about things that went well, things didn't go well. I will have watched the game and then go through if there's anything that we see. We'll talk it through, or issues that may have arisen in the game, and talk those things through, what we want to do next week and where we're headed. Usually personnel-based. I kind of let those guys do the schematics of it, but there's sometimes we have conversation. But those guys have owned it and they've done a great job.
Why did you kind of go about it that way as a coach?
Well, I think first off, when you're running your side of the ball, you really want to do it your way. And, too many cooks in the kitchen isn't good. So, those guys are doing their deal, and then they obviously report to me, and whatever they think is best, we'll have a conversation about it, move forward. But then also, being involved with special teams, being involved with the offense, you can only do so many things. And that's why, hired guys like Jeff and Greg and Larry who have such great experience that they can do it.
Second row left, Ari.
Hey, Ryan, obviously you understand the importance of recruiting at a high level, and this program is still in a little bit of a transition period as you go through from coach to coach. I was wondering, in next year's class, the state of Ohio has maybe the deepest crop of talent that it's had in a long time just in the state. I was just wondering, in a coach in your position, recruiting very well right now, but to have that base of talent in your home state next year, what can that do for you in terms of managing this transition?
It's huge. It's huge because in recruiting for us, our foundation is Ohio for sure, and the Midwest, and then we supplement it with national guys. But when you have so many talented guys in the state of Ohio that are right down the street, it's huge for us. And it's great to have those guys come visit. It's great to have all those guys come visit us on Saturday night, get a feel for what the game day atmosphere was like on Saturday, which was awesome. And it's so many recruits in, and so it's working at a high level right now. And I think there's so many guys in Ohio right now that just want to stay home and be a part of this. So it's going well.
Over the course of Urban Meyer's tenure, he took on average about 3 less Ohio kids per class than Jim Tressel did before him. I know it might not sound like a lot, but over the course of 4 years, it's almost 20% of the roster less Ohio kids. I was wondering, what's your ideal philosophy in terms of how to manage that when you have that? Do you want more? Did you like the balance of Ohio kids then? And just kind of when you have a class like this, what does that look like?
Good question. I just think that you have to just look at who you think fits your roster at that time, who's good enough to play. Ideally, you'd have as many Ohio guys as you can have. But sometimes it kind of fluctuates based on the talent in that recruiting class, and you do the best you can to go recruit the best at each position that fit here, because that's another part of it. What the guys that fit. So for sure, if somebody is from the state of Ohio, then they're going to have a leg up on anybody else in the country in recruiting, because this is their home state and they grew up being Buckeyes, so that matters.
Right next door, Stephen?
Like you talked about, this is the first time you've gone through being a bye week as a head coach, and this is usually a time where a lot of recruiting gets done. How do you balance, maintaining those relationships with guys that are already committed within the 2020 class versus trying to get out ahead with the 2021 class as well?
Well, that's why you work so many hours and you have so many people who do a great job within the staff here. There's a lot going on. There was a lot going on Saturday. I don't know the total number we had, but it was a ridiculous amount of people that were here. And I thought Mark and everybody involved in his staff did a great job organizing all that and handling it well. I think recruits and their families understand that on game day they're not going to get as much time face-to-face with the coaches or anything. They come in for the atmosphere, and they understand that. And all the feedback we got was that it was a home run.
And right behind it, Dan?
Ryan, you talked about that self-evaluation. When you look back at the first 6 games, what do you say is what's one thing you think this team has done really well, and what's one big thing that you really need to improve going into the second half of the year?
I don't know if it's one thing. I think our chemistry has been really good the first 6 games. I think we have played with toughness. I think seeing guys tackle, run to the ball, guys where guys are running the ball, the way we're blocking on the line of scrimmage. The way the quarterback's playing. I think the quarterback's tough. I watch the way he takes shots and he stands in there. I think our team is getting a little bit of that identity. Now we have to keep that going. We have to keep building. And really, that game on Saturday night was the first time we played 60 minutes. We had to get that thing into the second half and go win the game in the second half. So that's going to be the challenge moving forward. I think higher end execution, just in all phases, is going to be critical. When you kind of play the way we did in the first 5 games where it gets a little lopsided. You're talking 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. When you play a team like Michigan State and you get some of that real resistance right there and, some back and forth, you can get their attention and how important execution is going to be in the details.
What are the things you feel like you can get accomplished when you have 2 weeks between a game instead of just one like you do in most weeks?
Well, a couple of things. You get healthy. You get guys to heal up from the first 6 games. You get a chance to take a deep breath and get an idea where you're at, evaluate each player, each unit, where they're at, where they want to go, or where we want them to go, and then you get 2 weeks to game plan, which is good too. You get to try some things, throw it out, work through it. A little bit more time to prepare, and that's always good.
Right, awesome.
Ryan, I think since the moment you got here, there have been teams linking you to the NFL going back at some point. If the Redskins or somebody called right now, what would the response be?
Yeah, and I appreciate you asking. And I think, being in a place like Ohio State, anytime there's success, things like this are going to come up. I don't ever really want to talk about any of that stuff. I love it here, and this is where I want to be. So no matter whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, even for the next 5, 10, hopefully 20 years while I'm here, I really don't want to comment on that because I don't think it's good for anybody.
Okay. Football stuff then. You seemed like early in the year that you were, anxious or nervous if Justin was running. You know what the depth situation is like. He's starting to do it a little bit more, and he's taking a couple shots. Are you still holding your breath every time he runs, or are you getting more comfortable with that idea since he's responded to that with some toughness?
Yeah, a little bit of both, a little bit of everything. I think that he's shown toughness. He's dropped his pads. He's taken care of himself. He has taken a few shots. But you can see how dynamic he is with his feet and how he changes the game. And so there's that give and take. There's a calculated risk every time that happens. And, again, we don't want him taking shots. We don't want to expose him. But at the same time, he's a talent and he's a load. It's not like he's skinny or, he's going to take too many shots. And, he actually delivers the blow on some guys. That's the way he's built. So he's big and strong, which really helps. But certainly we don't want to be in a situation where we have to run him too much. But when you get in the red zone or you get in those certain situations where it's such an advantage for us, then if we got to go win the game, we're going to do it. And he understands that, and he's been great about it. And he's shown the toughness that we need to do that.
Second row middle, Bruce.
You have a Rose Bowl MVP defensively on this team who we don't see too much, Brendan White. Is he odd man out in your defensive change from a year ago?
No, he's in there, and he's working at it. He's learning that bullet position, and he's had some good snaps. He's had some snaps he wants to improve on, and that's a guy that this week is a great opportunity for him to find out what is he doing well and what are the things that he needs to improve on, just like everybody else. But yeah, Pete and Brendan and Jocelyn and Justin Hilliard, they're all kind of in that role, and they've been kind of sharing the snaps, and so I know all those guys want to play more, but I think as we take a chance to look at the back of those 6 games, they'll all have some things they need to improve on.
Is there a profile of a team that his presence on the field fits more? A tailback-heavy team, a spread team? Is there a profile of a team that you've just played teams that your personnel fit how those teams are attacking you better than Brendan?
Yeah, I think that there's certain that hybrid position, that bullet is kind of a bigger safety who plays linebacker, and so if it's a little bit pass heavy, sometimes you'll see the bullet in there a little bit more. If it's heavy pass, it's more of a nickel, more of a defensive back, a corner type, and so that's the good thing for us, is that we have some different personnel groupings we can get into on defense now to counter what we're seeing on offense. And so the more things you can do, then obviously the more versatility you provide as a player. But no, Brendan's doing a good job in terms of learning the position. He jumped around a little bit in his position, so now that he's settling into this, I think that he played better this week. And he is improving over the last couple of weeks, and I think he's going to continue to improve.
I know no coach complains about having too many good players, but I also know you're invested in every player. You know their parents, you know all that. And you obviously know his father's situation. As a coach, do you ever feel bad, like the kid's working hard, it's just guys ahead of him are just a little bit better?
Well, I think, certainly we all know that situation and are very sensitive to that. But at the end of the day, we just kind of meet with each guy, and that's what this week is really good for, is to have a great conversation about where they're at and where they need to go. And we care about all these guys, and that's really important, is to make sure that these kids understand that we have their back and that we have the resources that they need to make sure that they're successful. And each coach's responsibility, each player's responsibility is to build that connection so that they know that we're here for them. And I think when you do that, then you got something special going, and I feel that within the team right now.
Yeah, a while ago you said 5, 10, 20 years, as long as you're here and stuff. Sure you didn't want to add 28? That's how long Woody was here?
Oh, boy, I don't know if I can make it that long, but it'd be a good problem to have.
Oh, real quick, though, I will say this. You are a youngish man at 40. You're a first-time head coach. Your team has gone from like a big question mark for a lot of people preseason about where y'all fit with a new head coach and a new quarterback, new offensive line, to now y'all are number 3 in one poll, number 4 in the other, getting first-place votes. How do you temper being excited about your job, but with the fact that the season's half over? I mean, how do you deal with that? Because I would think you're pretty fired up right now.
Well, it's great to be 6-0, and I think that when we looked at our season, we saw this first 6 games as a chunk. We had a bye week, and then we have 2 games. We have a bye week, and then we finished with the last 4. And it's something we talked to the team about, and the first goal was to get 6-0, and here we are. So now we're entering into this next kind of phase here, and it's good to build confidence. It's good to know that everything that we're working on is paying off, because there's been a lot of hard work that's been put in here. There's been a lot of hours that have been put in here, physically, emotionally, mentally, meetings, lifts, workouts. I mean, there's so many of those things that have happened, and so to see that pay off is great. But we all know that doesn't mean anything if you don't win the next one. And so keeping that chip on our shoulder and making sure that we haven't proven anything yet, just that we have the capability to do well, but we're just halfway through the season, and we got a long way to go. And so making sure that we have something to prove every single day we step on the practice field and on the game field is important.
Really quickie, with an offensive line, when you put it together, you never know exactly how tough it's going to be, at crunch time and stuff. Did you learn something about that group on Saturday night again that tells you it's not just, a bunch of great athletes out there, but they can stand up to a Big Ten football game?
I think we learned a couple things about the O-line. One was that, when it was tough sledding early on, they didn't panic. They just kept swinging away. And I think the second thing, like you said, is that was a real defensive line that has got some really good players in there, and I thought they were physical. They were finishing guys downfield again, and they took a lot of pride in that. And to run for over 300 yards against that outfit is saying something. So I do. I think that goes to show you where our line is and what it's capable of. So all that means is just more expectations moving forward.
Third row right, Rob?
Conventional wisdom coming into the season was that Justin Fields wouldn't be the passer that Dwayne was, just because of Dwayne's numbers, what he's done. Are you surprised at all at the success he's had, and how would you compare those guys at the halfway point last year to this year, their growth? Is it similar? Is Justin ahead?
I just very different. Just very two different situations, I think. But both were unknown. Both had 0 collegiate starts coming into the season, which is amazing when you think back on it. But it was a situation where Dwayne was in the offense and just had to prove that he had the game experience and those type of things. Justin was much more of an unknown because he had just got here in January. And so he's growing every day. He knows what he needs to work on, but his leadership and his toughness is shown. And I think the guys in that locker room are appreciative of that. I think they see it. He's got a lot of areas to grow, a lot of things to work on. But if he continues to lead, if he continues to be tough, if he continues to be a leader in that locker room, then a lot of good things are going to happen.
How do you compare the two as passers? Just strictly from what you being a former QB coach, how do they?
One is, kind of a more of a pocket guy who's a little bit longer, leaner, 6'5", maybe a little bit quicker release. The other guy is 6'3", thicker, stronger in the pocket. Guys can kind of bounce off of him in there. He's a little bit stronger in there. He'll stand in there a little bit more. He can create and extend plays, and he's got a very strong arm, and that thing comes out with pace when it comes out. So I think, Justin can make, a throw anywhere on the field at any point, whether it's in the pocket or when he goes to escape. There's not really an area of the field that he can't get the ball to. And a lot of times it's not even, with his feet underneath him. He can get away with some of that stuff. And so all the things that we're cleaning up in terms of technique and getting the ball out on time, but he's very talented.
One more at the risk of pushing this. Have the Redskins contacted you?
No, like I said, no, but I'm not going to talk about that stuff. I really don't want to have any conversation about that.
Over here to the right, Blake.
Okay, let's forget Haskins plays for the Redskins. Has he reached? He's going through a very uncertain time in his career. About the direction of that team that he's on. Has he reached out to you? Have you tried to counsel him? If you would, what would you say to a guy where he is in his development?
No, Dwayne and I, speak regularly, but hadn't really talked to him. I think since he played in the preseason game, I think it was in Cleveland. I think he played a preseason game in Cleveland. Yeah, talked to him before that and wished him nothing but the best of luck. But kind of busy here and running around. But no, it's the same thing. He's going to be fine. He's just got to keep working at it, keep staying strong, and he'll be fine.
Front row left, Doug.
Ryan, I was joking with Luke Farrell earlier this year about when he's going to come in your office and demand that he get the ball, and he said, of course I would never do that. But he catches a touchdown pass the other night, and he was saying he almost got emotional about it because he was so excited for the opportunity to contribute to his team and help that kind of thing. Obviously, Luke is doing his job blocking most of the time. Just what's that guy done to help this offense this year?
Well, he's done a lot, not just this year, but last year too. And we've played with several tight ends on the field. It's one of our more experienced groups coming into the season. When you're a tight end, you have to be able to do a lot of things. You have to be able to protect. You have to be able to run routes. You have to be able to run block. You have to do all those things. And to do that takes a special guy, and I think Luke does all of those things very well. He's not a guy that takes a lot of maintenance. You tell him something once, he gets it. And that's not easy as a tight end because you have to be involved in so many things. You have to be a high processor. He does that. And like you said, he doesn't bring a lot of attention to himself if he's not getting the ball or anything like that. Never heard any of that from Luke. And so proud that he made that big play, and we needed that play in that game. And not only the catch and being where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there, but then also to break a tackle, one of the better linebackers in the country in Bocce, and then scores a touchdown. I mean, that was great for him and well deserved.
Just the idea of, he was just talking about sort of like the emotion of the moment, and these, I mean, they're still young guys and they're giving everything to this. And he was saying, like, I got to score a touchdown at my dream school. Like, it was unbelievable. What does that tell you about these guys? And I think sometimes maybe it's easy for us to, it's a business, there's a lot going on, but there is an emotional component of this that you can tell sometimes when it comes out of these kids, it really means a lot to them.
Yeah, I totally hear what you're saying, because I think sometimes we just think this thing goes on and on and on, and they're just, they're players and everything. But like you said, these guys are kids that grew up in, some grew up in Ohio, some grew up wherever, but they grew up and dreamed of being in environments like they were on Saturday night, and to actually fulfill a dream after all the hard work that's been put in. And there's a guy who, he keeps putting in, but really hadn't made a big play like that. And so you just never know. It's faith without results at times. You just got to keep trusting it and trusting it and trusting it. And then all of a sudden when it happens, it's like, this is why you do it. And great to see stories like that, because in a day and age where everybody wants, instant gratification, to see a guy work like that and then get his due is great to see.
Right behind him, Bill.
Ryan, you've remarked a couple of times about Justin's toughness, and I'm just curious maybe what you thought of him in those regards when he got here, how you've seen that develop, and as he tries to carve out this leadership position, how much does his willingness to go get tough yards help that?
I didn't have any expectations of him. I didn't know him really, other than just in the recruiting when he was coming up. But didn't spend a ton of time with him because he was committed to Penn State and then committed to Georgia. So we had a young man committed to us at the time. So it was a little bit, but didn't really get to go see him play or anything. So I didn't know. And then got around him a little bit, got to know him a little bit. But still, you don't know until you're in it, because we don't tackle the quarterback. And then to see the last couple games, the way he's taken a few shots, the way he's run the ball, and then come right back, that is some grittiness there. And that's very exciting.
You see his teammates taking to that? Is that, I know guys some are vocal, some aren't, but when you're trying to be a leader, something like that may be even more important than how much you might use your voice.
I just think when you're preaching toughness and your quarterback takes a shot right in the face, one that was, to me, was questionable, and then comes back and throws a fade in the corner of the end zone one week, and then lowers his shoulder and takes a shot in the thigh to score a touchdown late in the game, and on JK's touchdown run, or two of them, he's carrying out his fake, and then he's running down the field to help block. He was almost in the end zone before JK on the long run, and then the other one, he's leading to try to help block. And it just goes to show you what this kid's made of, And I think a lot of guys on the team are taking notice of that.
And you guys lead the country in rushing yards, total rushing yards. At the same time, you have been balanced. Passing yards are almost right there with it. Is that where you want to be? Is there anything else you'd like to see from the passing game, or are you pretty happy with the balance you guys have struck so far?
It was kind of like, last year, we were a little bit more passing, and that's kind of how it played out as it went on. But I think we're very explosive in the pass game. And, again, tribute to the way that backs are running, the way we're blocking right now, because when you can run, that you can really control the game. I think we've done that so far. But like you're saying, as the game goes on and the season goes on, we get into these games, and we're going to have to throw at a high level. So that's going to be part of this. But certainly, any offense would tell you they want great balance.
Second row right, Tony.
Ryan, when Jeff Affley brings in this defense, we didn't really know exactly what it looks like. Now he's out there trotting 3 starting corners. And it seems to me that third starting corner is kind of very important in allowing this to happen. So how would you rate, or how would you describe Shaun Wade's value in this defense?
I don't know how I could really put any kind of commentary on how valuable it is, but that's big. You see a lot of guys in college football try to get the ball to the slot receiver, whether it's RPOs or throws or whatever it is, that's the guy they target. The guys on the outside, they're a little bit longer throws, and so in college, that guy gets targeted a lot. So you have to be talented. You have to be able to play the run. You have to be tough. You have to blitz like he did. You have to be able to play coverage. You have to play man-to-man on a deep ball. You have to be able to do all those things to be really good at that position. Otherwise, you have to keep, moving different body types in there based on what you're seeing. What Shaun gives us is great versatility, because he's kind of has all those skills.
And then not just covering those slot guys, but the way he was blowing up those screens.
Unbelievable. On that one screen that he made a play on, we were kind of outnumbered. That was a heck of a design by them. But we talk about how toughness and effort can overcome scheme, and there's two guys there that are blocking him. He kind of splits them and slows the screen runner down just enough, and then B.B. Landers gives great effort on that play. Tough Borland gives great effort on that play, and that's about the pursuit that Greg Madison talks about. And Sean kind of stops him just enough to stop his feet, and then here comes the pursuit. They make the play, and that was a big play in the game.
Right next door, Steve.
Yeah, Coach. I want to ask about the Dobbins long touchdown. On the replay, it appears Hausman seals off one side, and the three interior linemen all hit their blocks and everything. He has to make one guy miss, and he's off to the races. Just in general, the execution of that play seemed like it was as good as it could be against a quality defense, a very good front seven, and in general, just the play of the offensive line to date. Just your thoughts on how this has clicked together for them.
Yeah, it was a 3rd and 2. We put formation into the boundary, and I thought our guys did a really good job of getting to the second level. Josh Myers did a really good job getting up on Bocce there. We got good movement on the front side. And if you watch it on film, that as Justin disconnects, that safety took maybe a step or 2 steps because he thought maybe Justin had the ball. And I think that was enough to get him squirted out the front side. The other guy who made a big block on that was KJ. KJ Hill on the walkout, he got on his inside number, and that sprung it. But it was well done by everybody. To hit a big play like that, all 11 have to do great. If 10 guys or 9 guys do their job, it goes for 10 or 12. But everybody has to do their job for a big play like that, and they did.
And just offensive line, just your thought. I mean, it was a group that had never played together. I mean, you insert Jackson at the absolute last minute, wasn't here in the spring, and it seems like that group has played pretty well today.
I would say Jonah is as close to a man in pro as I've been around in a long time. He's a great young man who really has immersed himself in this program. The guys really have taken to him, and he's got a great way about him. And like you said, for a guy to come into that room with a lot of pride and a lot of history, and it's not easy. We got a strong culture in that room, and for a fifth-year senior to come into that room, get embraced, and then do it the way he's doing, that says a lot about who he is. But then it also says a lot about the culture of that offensive line room right now, which is, I think, one of the best cultures we have on the whole staff, and that's a tribute to what Stud has done with that room. I think it's tremendous right now. They're playing with great passion. They're solving the problems. They're playing with great energy. So all positive there. But again, the challenge is, can we keep it up now? Because if we, come out and don't do that and don't finish and don't play with that edge, then obviously we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Final 2 questioners. 4th row left, Andy.
Yeah, Coach. Don't want to ask any more about NFL rumors, but you said you said a couple times now you plan on being at Ohio State the next 5, 10, 20 years. You've had jobs, both at the college and NFL level. When was it you decided that your more permanent career path was to be the head coach in a major college program at Ohio State as opposed to the NFL?
When we had to move our family 3 times in 3 years. I mean, that was not good. And that's the thing that I don't know if people realize is when you have to move your family. You have a young family, when you're moving them all over the place. It is the worst thing to go home to your family and tell them we got to move again, and they got to be the new kid again, and your wife has to figure out a new set of friends again. It's just not good. And certainly Nina and I didn't grow up that way. We grew up in the same house for our whole lives, and all of our family's still back in the same hometown. So that was hard times for us. And then I said, never again. I don't want to do it anymore. And she said the same thing, and that was the decision that we made.
And final questions, 4th row middle, Joe.
You guys blocked a few kicks early in the season. Drew Chrisman's been a model of consistency in punting. How would you evaluate each of the special teams units through 6 games?
I think we've been solid. We missed 2 blocked field goals by, as close as you could possibly miss a blocked field goal. The second one, Chase is right there, and I don't know how it maybe just slid by his fingers and he missed it. I think if he kicks it down the middle, we're probably blocking it. I think that we've done a good job with the punt blocking, field goal blocking. Our return game has just been okay. I think our punt game has been solid. I think Drew's doing a good job. I thought we did a good job the other night of covering. I think they had 0 return yards. So overall, it's been solid. I still think our return game can be better, but overall, special teams has been solid.
Hey, Ron,
Yeah.
did you get to watch the game last night at all? Did you get to watch any of that game? Did you see Nick
I did. I watched the first half. Yeah.
What'd you think about the way Nick Bosa played in that game?
Oh, I was proud of the way he played. Yeah, it was great to see him healthy and running around making plays, and he was a terror out there. Yeah.